sort of oblique or at an angle here, a diagonal angle, that's where the anterior interventricular vessels run. So if I find that, I know, okay, that's anterior. And then this must be where the left ventricle is in here. This is the right ventricle is there. The atria are really small in the sheep. So this funny little brown thing right here is the auricle. So, I mean, it's like ridiculously small. So if it's opened up, yeah, I'm glad you didn't cut that off. That'd be like Van Gogh cutting off his ear. But that thing right here is the auricle, and it's collapsed, but inside it, the space is the atrium. So that's the left atrium is inside here. This is the left ventricle, which is the big, strong ventricle. But on the sheep, they have a fairly large right ventricle too. And that's this little funky thing right here. This guy right here is the auricle on the right side. So once you figure that out, I know this one's a little squashed. Looks like somebody stepped on it. It's like our flat Stanley. This is where the coronary sinus would be back in here somewhere. So once you know right from left, anterior from posterior, then you want to find the major vessels. So one that gets tagged a lot because it doesn't require much dissection is this guy that's coming here. It's actually coming out of the right ventricle. So this guy is really superficial. It's kind of brown on most of ours. So it's this thing right here. And if you look on that picture there, it's number 5 that has a blue stick in it. That's the pulmonary trunk right there. So pulmonary trunk is going to take blood from the right ventricle, and then it'll branch to the 2 pulmonary arteries and go to the lungs. So this guy, and sometimes on the test, what they'll do is they'll cut. I'm going to cut just a little bit. I know you're pretty attached to this. With your heart. But it's helpful to open it up so you can kind of see.
Breaking his heart.
I am breaking.
Is it all fat?
Well, no, it's not fat. It's not all fat, but there's a lot of fat, which is kind of remarkable. But when you think about it, the fat is there for energy for the heart muscle. So even though the sheep isn't, eating a bunch of fat, they store energy so that you don't want the heart ever to run out of energy. So I was just cutting it a little so you could stick the probe in it. Oh. And, I love that response. There's the pulmonary trunk, and I'm sticking it so it's going into the right ventricle.
Wait, so where's it goes? The aorta's all the way up.
Yeah,
here?
I haven't shown you the aorta yet, but this one I was just see if you can figure out if this is the right ventricle. That's the left ventricle. So this is, so do you get it? So right ventricle, left ventricle, there's that line in between them. So if this is the pulmonary trunk and it's carrying blood from the right ventricle, what valve did I just shove that through? It's a semilunar, which one? Pulmonary, because it's going out to the lungs. There you go. Pulmonary, semilunar. Hopefully I didn't tear it completely, but that's what I poked it through. So you're asking about the aorta. The aorta is usually behind it. So if this is the pulmonary trunk, then the aorta is this giant guy right here. And I'm just kind of gently, no, not so gently, pushing it through. It's going down to here.
And is the left side always going to be bigger than the right side?
Yeah, and you'll see when you cut through it, it's pretty remarkable, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the left ventricle. This is the aorta. So on that picture up there, it's number 4, is the aorta. It's behind the pulmonary trunk, and it's really big and thick. I mean, you can stick your finger in there, and this thing is like a rubber hose or something. There's a branch off of it, which you can see right here. So that's actually a branch off of the aorta, but I kind of shoved it this way to get you to see. This thing is brachiocephalic. So on that picture up there, that's number 3, is brachiocephalic. So there's the brachiocephalic. Here's the aorta.
And like it would be left common carotid and then sub.
Yeah, but we wouldn't tag it from this.
Yeah,
but that's
obviously, so that's
correct.
where it would-
That's
okay.
where it comes off. So on the test though, pulmonary trunk gets tagged, aorta gets tagged, brachiocephalic gets tagged, and usually they'll literally will stick a colored stick in it, kind of like that, or use a probe with a number on it, so you know. So the other major vessel that gets tagged on the test is the vena cava. So vena cava is going to be leading to, ooh, it's slippery and icky. So if this is the right auricle, and you should find a little thin guy going into that. And I can see it here. It's whether I can get like that. Okay, yeah, that's it right there. Okay, so
Oh, it's huge.
yeah, so but it's huge. But what's sort of remarkable about it, and you can see it or feel it probably more than you can see it, it's much thinner walled than the aorta or the brachiocephalic. So aorta and brachiocephalic have much thicker walls. They're tougher, so because they're under higher pressure. The superior vena cava is bringing blood back, and there's hardly any blood pressure there, or comparatively low blood
The
pressure.
vena cava is behind this.
It is.
Okay.
What's
The vena cava on, and here they don't actually tag vena cava up on
But
there.
it's behind the brachios.
It's behind the brachiocephalic.
What's the hole in the back?
So the hole in the back, if you can kind of poke it, it's part of the pulmonary, it's like a pulmonary artery or something. I wouldn't tag that, but that's what that is. The inferior vena cava, like you think, okay, there's the superior vena cava, so where's the inferior? Like it should be down here or something? It's really not, because sheep run around on 4 legs. So instead of being down here, it's actually off to the side. So you kind of gently, sometimes you can tease it through without poking a hole and making a new hole. There, see I'm kind of coming through here, but a little twisted, but it's kind of weird. But that's superior vena cava. That's actually the inferior vena
In
cava.
humans, would it be straight down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the sheep have a little different plumbing because of the way they walk around on all 4 limbs. So both of those are draining into the right atrium, as is the coronary sinus, which is underneath all this fat. You don't need to dissect it. But what you do need to do is make sure on you guys, the other hearts, make sure you recognize all those major blood vessels: pulmonary trunk, aorta, brachiocephalic, the vena cava, that you know the atrium, the ventricles, left, right. And then once you're sure on that, then you're going to do like a coronal section, you know, that gives you a front and a back. Start at the apex and try to cut it down so that you can flop it open like a little clam
Today?
shell. Yeah, do it right now. So that way we'll look for the different valves, and you'll see the chordae tendineae, and hopefully you can figure out the different valve names because they get tagged on the test too. Okay, so I'm going to start back there and work my way through here, but